Yeah, the main highlight, I think, from the community extension side is that we got our DuckDB extension now converted to the core extension. So any users on the community extension are encouraged to move their code over to the core extension. Thanks a lot, Sean, for all the PRs with the DuckDB team on this. Okay, now you can hear me and see me. I see the screen. Okay.
There we go.
Great. Is it all good?
All good.
Great, yeah. So I was just saying about the Lance extension in DuckDB. Those who are using the community extension, please go ahead and upgrade to the core, make it a core extension now. So we are fully supported on the DuckDB core extension side, thanks to Sean Vo's PRs. We also got the PrestoDB connector, Lance connector PR merged, and this is on the Presto side. I believe, yeah, these were some of the Presto contributors who merged this, but yeah, this is basically a community connector for Lance users working with Presto. Does anyone have any extra things to add here? There's a lot of information in the PR and the context behind it. And I don't believe anyone from our side worked on this. This is all on the Presto side. Cool. And then I believe this one was added by Will, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to announce that, yeah, we now have the list of files within indexes, which should partly improves cold search, but also partly means that describe indices will now say how big an index is on disk.
Great. Is this already in the 3.0.0 SDK?
I assume it's, I'm not sure if it's in the 3.0.0 or what.
Okay.
You can always, one way to find out is if you like click on the merge commit down there.
Oh, down there?
Yeah, you see at the bottom where it has that commit. Yeah, click on the commit hash.
On the hash, yeah. That's fine. I know it's either way. Like it should be easy to find for those who are looking for it, I guess.
Yeah.
And you can always query the API directly as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a lot of commit highlights in here. I don't believe we should be going through each and every one of them, but there's been a lot of community contributions that have gotten merged. Many people from different parts of the community. There's some performance updates as well. I believe some of these are related to full text search and vector index. Are there any specific ones that stand out here that we want to highlight? Whoever wants to chime in. Okay, so I think, yeah, we're ready to begin the upcoming release discussion. I believe, yeah, this is for the 4.0.0 SDK.
Yeah.
Has the voting begun?
I'm not sure. Are we in the process of releasing? I guess we are. Who initiated the 4.0 release? Weston, did you?
Sorry. Yes, I've started the 4.0 release process. I made RC3 yesterday. What was the question about it?
Okay, just wanted to check in, make sure. So you created this release. It sounds like.
Yeah, I created RC1 last week, and then it fell through because there were some FTS perf improvements that people wanted to get in.
Right.
And RC2 was a mistake on my part. I didn't realize that you have to cherry pick things over, so I just created a RC that was the exact same as RC1.
Oops.
So I created RC3 yesterday, and I just, instead of cherry picking specific things, I just caught it up to wherever main was yesterday, basically. So
we're calling folks to try out the this release candidate and then provide a vote once they're tested, right?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any outstanding issues that need to block RC3. For any reasons, it would be a -1 at this moment.
Okay.
So I wanted to do. Yes, we've done our normal internal testing on it. A little bit of that is still in progress, but I'm working on that today.
Cool. So regarding the 4.0.0, I think there's not too many comments, but if anyone does, yeah, they can comment on the discussion. All right. So, Will, do you want to kick off the discussion topic here?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah. I wanted to bring up and ask people on the call. I think so far we've had design discussions in GitHub discussions. I think I'm wondering what people's sense of if that's working well. And I'm wondering if we might want to use Google Docs instead for design discussions, or if we sort of like the GitHub discussion format. One major difference to my mind is that like in something like a Google Doc, you can sort of make inline comments very easily, if you wanted to be like, hey, just nitpick this little thing. Whereas I think I'm finding in the GitHub discussions, it's very hard. You have to sort of copy each thing you want to comment about and put it into a quote. It's a little harder to track like what a given thread, because I think people aren't like necessarily in the habits of like splitting different comments into different threads and that sort of thing. So I guess if other people sort of share that sentiment, or if they find the GitHub discussions useful in other ways.
I think there's pros and cons for each. I like the way GitHub discussions is like the threads are clear if you clearly separate the threads, because lots of times in Google Docs, well, what I feel is that there's a very important thread, but it was squeezed in on the right, and there are so many comments, and it's basically impossible to read. So I think currently people seems to be naturally evolving into like I have this GitHub discussion, and then if there's an actual design, then I put a link to the Google Doc. And then if there are important threads, then that can go into the GitHub discussions, and maybe there are some inline comments they can go to the Google Doc. That seems to be a nice combo in my mind.
So I think part of what you're proposing is that you could feel free to use both or either, and that also that the best way to use GitHub discussions is to like try to separate into separate questions into separate threads.
Right, but I think it's important that at least there is always a kind of like a tracker in GitHub discussions, so that people have a central place to see what are all the
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think shareability and trackability is definitely better with GitHub discussions, because Google Docs, the link could be anywhere and it just looks like any arbitrary link.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think if we did Google Docs, we might do like, I think in other projects, they might do something like where they might have a GitHub issue that's like labeled with like a design label, and that way you can always look for all the ones, and then those would always link to like a Google Doc.
I believe that's what we did for the Blob v2 proposal originally. I think Shonvo had an issue open but linked to a Google Doc. Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? So it sounds like if you want to use a Google Doc, you can, as long as you link to it from a discussion. Yep. And then I guess the other thing is, I feel like, do we have any guidance we want to give people? Like, I think sometimes I've seen people open discussions when I kind of feel like there should be issues, like there'll be like a sort of like a small like feature request. And I kind of feel like maybe that should just be an issue. So I don't know if people have, if like there's like a good decision or like guidance on like when should a user open an issue versus a discussion.
There's a convert to issue button, right?
Oh, there is.
I think so. If you're in a discussion,
There is, yeah.
I guess there's create issue. Oh yeah, transfer this discussion maybe. I think there's a way to convert a discussion into an issue.
I've done that before. It's definitely doable.
Okay.
I mean, I would say if someone is asking questions, it's fine to start as a discussion. But if something is identified that needs to change, then it becomes an issue. I think one thing for design proposals is, I think this just came up in Iceberg as well. It might be nice to have like on our maybe in our main README even, or somewhere prominent, like a list of the active design proposals and kind of what their status is. Just as, like, you can go to the discussions page, but you'll see a lot of things that aren't design proposals. You could filter to the correct type, and you could, but you still have to kind of like dig into each one to see, like, is anyone actually working on this? When was the last time it was updated?
There is a tag called design proposals, but are we using it well?
I think we are. But again, I was wondering if we maybe we want to make the designs that are in progress or whatever more prominent. I don't know.
Right.
We also have a lot of design proposals that are just like, this would be a great idea, but no one's working on it.
Yep.
Yeah, you can label.
Or Jack says we have some design proposals under the ideas tag.
Okay. So I guess the tagging is the crucial part here. Like sometimes it's not exactly applied to what needs to be a proposal.
I think, yeah, I can kind of agree with the feedback where it's hard to track like what state. That's one thing I was trying to do before this meeting is figure out which design discussions were like open and needed attention, and which ones have sort of like gone stale or been rejected. Okay. But I think some of the ideas of like being able to convert them to issues if they seem like they should be an issue is really useful. I might draft some ideas for like writing down some guidance for how to use these. I wonder if we should just take away the ideas section.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing.
And maybe like I wonder if we should just take some of these away, like maybe show and tell should go to the Discord or something like that.
I mean, yeah, these are not even being used for the most part.
Yeah. Mostly I think the taking away the ideas just because like that way we can funnel more people towards the design proposals and they can put it in the appropriate spot. Okay.
Sounds like the next step is at least we categorize all the, looks like there are a lot in the general and ideas. We can start to categorize those either into issues or actual proposals and then go from there. And I think we should probably remove a few categories in the discussions.
Yep. Go ahead, Kevin.
I kind of like the ideas section just because it's more of a maturity thing for me, right? Like design proposals are more well thought out, well organized, like a lot more details. And the idea could just be like, hey, I think this is interesting, but I haven't done much research or whatever, or like, I don't have time. Let me just throw in the idea. And then maybe you can develop that as a design proposal later on. Just my 2 cents. And like, yeah, I think if there are active design proposals as well, there are a lot of things here in the ideas. Moving it over might crowd the design proposals and like divide the attention in a way.
By the way, quick question: is it possible to change the tag like after it's created? Like we switch over. Like let's say we start with a proposal, ideate, and then move it to a design proposal after.
I don't know, but maybe.
There's a pencil next to category over there. Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
It should be easy enough. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm open to keeping ideas. I guess part of me, maybe I had to think about it more, but part of me is like not sure. Like if someone came to me and said, "Hey, should I make this an issue, an ideas discussion, or a design proposal?" I can sort of see what you're saying about like how well formed is it, that helps you determine whether or not you should go into design proposals. But part of me with like the ideas is like, I guess part of my question is like, why not just make it an issue, and have a discussion there.
Yeah, I mean, I think for other projects I've seen like feature request issues or like tracking issues, you could do that I think it's just a matter of like, where do you want to organize things? I like ideas just because they're more like a, for lack of a better word, a dump of ideas. Just like, hey, I thought of this recently. Maybe I'll just put it there for now. And like, if we gather enough attention, or like, you know, if everyone else think it's a good idea, move it over to somewhere else. The reason I don't like issues is there's like too many issues, right? Like bugs can be an issue, questions can be an issue, feature requests can be an issue, and it gets super crowded. So again, it's an organization thing and like preference thing.
Yeah, and we currently don't label issues in the Lance repo, so it's kind of like not organized that way.
Yeah, there's an auto labeler you can take a look at. I think some projects use like a GitHub Action auto labeler.
We do have it for LanceDB, I think. If I remember correctly, there is an auto labeler CI here.
It's not really an auto labeler. I think that's because if you create a new issue in LanceDB, you click on that.
Okay.
Click the green button.
You mean here? Oh, right, yeah.
Then it has templates.
Oh, this is a template. Okay. This is different. Yeah.
Which is a little different.
Okay.
I think I partly just say that because like I regularly look at the issues. I almost never look at the ideas tab. So I think maybe I should need to get in the habit of looking at the ideas and seeing what's going on there. That's fine.
There are GitHub workflows that will trigger after an issue is created that will attempt to label to the best of its ability what it is. So that's like a GitHub action you can add. And I think some of the other like open source projects have it.
Okay, cool. I think satisfied the discussion for now.
Yeah.
I think it's worth on our own sort of thinking about how we can make this a little more organized, and I might propose or draft something up for guidance.
And another data point, I just realized that I actually create lots of ideas there because I feel the issues where you have like some ideas to discuss, then because GitHub issues, you cannot have threads and then response within the thread. That makes the discussion always very confusing, at least for me to read, because people will say idea 1 and then another person say idea 2, and then you have just these interleaving comments between two different ideas going on in a single issue. So lots of times I just create a GitHub discussion just for that purpose, to make things clear.
Yeah. That's fair. Okay.
Okay. So I think we can move to the next one. Shorten the voting period for minor releases, I believe. Let me just confirm the statement again. Release voting window.
Yeah, the voting issue that has been passed. I will conclude them today.
Oh wait, where was the voting?
I started a dedicated voting thread, and I think
it's in the discussions.
We voted.
Yeah, we have a dedicated vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Could we make sure to link? I guess I ended up voting on it, but could we make sure to link to the voting thread from the original proposal in the future? I think that would make it a lot clearer when we're going through the proposals, which ones have been voted on.
Yeah.
So it looks like that doesn't need any further discussion. It's already been voted on.
Yeah, this has been passed, so we can move on.
Okay. So who added this one here? Partition namespaces.
I added that. Yeah. I guess it's ideally we have some people. Oh, sorry.
Question.
Sorry, very minor question about the shortened release period. I assume we just this will apply to the 4.0 release. It doesn't get like grandfathered into the 7-day period.
Yeah, applied. Yes.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So regarding this topic, I don't know if there's anyone from like ByteDance or like Netflix, those people are here, but because they are the ones who has been pushing for this partition namespace things we discussed, that we don't want to do partitioning in Lance and in the Lance table format, and we can do that one level above. So they have been pushing for those features, but on the other side, that made me think, because we have been also recently pushing a lot for the index segment, and that essentially, and one of the big reasons for doing the partition namespace was that the index, I think there was like a mathematical limit for how effective a single index is, single factor index is, and then beyond that, you kind of scale with different partitions. So naturally, for Lance, it means you have tables with complete indexes, and then you build on top of that, which makes us pretty much similar to all the other vector databases from indexing perspective. But if we are doing segments now inside Lance table format, that seems to be making that reason go away, because we will be able to have different segments inside a single table, and those segments just operate as their own vector index or FTS index, and we can scale a single table to a much larger size. So, I'm curious what people think. Should we keep pushing, still push for the partition namespace thing, or we just focus on getting the index segment right, and then we just say this is the right way, and plus things like clustering, you get most of the features you want. What do people think here?
I mean, partition to namespace would still give us data partitioning, right?
Yes.
I guess I thought people wanted partition to namespace for the like the multi-tenancy style. Like I want to have, or no, that was that what it was?
I'm pretty sure.
I think yes and no, because on one side that is one of the reasons, but I think for in the end, what the people who are pushing for those features are doing is essentially trying to do a lot of the things for partition table. That has been my impression, but so far I was like, I'm just letting that evolve with people who are interested in that. But I think with this, maybe maybe the conclusion is we should raise the discussion with all the stakeholders, because I think most of the stakeholders are not here, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I guess that I thought the thing was like, if you have a query and then that resolves to just one or a few of those partitions, then it can hit an index, and that index is specific to that data. You know, like in the multi-tenancy case, right? I want to do a vector search, but only for the single tenant, right? It's much better to just like filter for that and just run it on that index specific to that tenant than it is to, you know, do what we do now and like do a pre-filter and it matches, you know, an index. And I guess maybe it resolves to, if you somehow keep them separated by segments, it might resolve to fewer segments, but I don't think there's any guarantee without the namespace partitioning that it would align in that way.
Yeah, but I think the counter, like my counter argument to that is essentially you, let's say we do clustering as we have been discussing. Liquid clustering. Then you would naturally cluster with something like a tenant ID, and then the index segments will be built also naturally with that in that case. And that kind of fills the gap to some extent. Maybe you will query one or two segments, like multiple segments, but it's still a limited number of segments. Or would that be the case?
No, because the indexes are not stored in the same order as the data. So even if the data is clustered by tenant ID, IVFPQ indexes are always going to be ordered across vector space. And FTS indexes, it might be the case, although I think Seanwo had some ideas with Bloom filters about how we might identify which segments to search. But we could probably make it work for FTS indexes. I take that back. We would have to do some work, but I think we could make that work. Because we would have to like do a quick early test to see which fragments actually got hit by the pre-filter. And then we could pick segments based on, like if we know the results are only going to be in these 5 fragments, then we can identify which segments we actually need to search. We don't have anything in there like that today, but that is something we could do.
Okay, sounds good. I will raise the discussion on this.
Yeah, I think it's a worthwhile discussion. I think there's, again, we don't have all stakeholders. There was at least one stakeholder that was more worried about write optimizations, which is that they wanted to do partition replacements. And clustering doesn't help us with that at all. But it can sort of help us, but I don't know. I think for us, we can definitely discuss it internally, whether it's important for LanceDB or not.
Cool. So this goes to discussion, I believe, right, Jack? So. Okay. Speaking of stakeholders, I believe we have Janjan on the call right now from Presto. Are you there? Curious if you had. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. And yeah, curious if you had a few words to say about the new PR that got merged. I guess.
Oh yeah. I think Binan that previously working on the PrestoDB a lot, and I just like talked with him and trying to finish the work in the PrestoDB since we have like already the Lance connector in the Trino, so we're trying to onboard the same use case in Uber for the PrestoDB to run SQL on the database.
Awesome. Has there been any announcement on this? Is it going to be announced on your side?
I mean, we are currently doing the POC and exploration about like whether Java is good enough for us, or we want to go with the Velox route, which is using the C++ to read the LanceDB. That's why I'm also like working with Jack and Sean to like kind of like exploring that. We'll see. There's no like real production use case, and I think once we have landed into production for the PrestoDB plus Lance, I think that would be a great time for us to celebrate this.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for all the work.
Yeah. By the way, I think the discussion about like the partition namespace and the partition index vector is also kind of related to the Presto integration, since like Hive naturally have this partitioned style. So maybe I would be also interested in the discussion in the following future.
Great. So that discussion will be on GitHub soon, I guess.
Maybe I just catch up with the community discussion and see what's going on there and to try to participate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. So this next one, I'm not sure if it's related to the previous one, index details.
Yeah, I added this one because I'm working on index metadata recently, and I found that there are many missing index details in our metadata. I can't even know what's the index type for this index metadata. I have seen some discussion raised by Will talking about adding more index details in the index metadata. Is this covered?
Which specific discussion are you talking about?
Yeah, let's maybe bring it up if possible.
Yeah, I think I have seen a discussion about adding more metadata about index in our spec.
I think the first one just now was right.
Oh, okay. Let me just redo that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing that I'm actively working on is getting the vector indexes that have details. That one's still in progress. And I also started writing. I think part of where that stalled is that I'm not 100% sure on what things belong in the index vector in the details and which ones don't. So I started drafting a PR to try to describe which should go in which. I guess to describe my thinking so far, it can sort of split out 3 types of metadata that are possible. One is things that are describe the specification of the index. So like how many, if you're using an FTS index, whether or not it has positions or not, that sort of defines what the actual output would be. And there's a second category, which is like things that are like sort of your build strategy, which might be like, there might be sort of runtime parameters, like how much parallelism you might use, might be how much they aren't using GPU or CPU to train it, or it might be how many iterations to do in the k-nearest neighbors training for IVF partitions androids. And then lastly, there are things that are actually not really parameters going in, but outputs, like the centroids for IVF or the PQ codebook. But thinking right now is try to make it so that the index details are just the first category, but I could also see an argument for the second category, at least be like stored in there or somewhere in there, because you might want to be able to configure some things about your index and how it builds up front when you define the index. So that's sort of where I'm not sure on.
Yeah. My question is, can we adding some new metadata like index type in our metadata so that we don't need to open the index to know what the type it is?
I mean, I think our approach is that we want to use the index details message itself to determine the index type.
Do you mean we dedicated the index type by counters to specific details so that we know it is a vector or it is a B tree, something like this?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. I'll have some discussion offline for more details about this.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my question is like, yeah, where did this come up for you? Like, what were you trying to accomplish where you needed this?
Oh yeah. Let me add in some context quickly. So I'm working on the distributed FTS index building, and I have a new API called I can merge some index segments together into one. So my API will only accept some index metadata, and I need to figure out what's the type of those metadata, and so that I can call in the corresponding API for them. Like if they are a vector search, I will call in IVF merge, and if they are FTS, I will call in inverted merge. So I need to know what's the type what's the index type of the given index metadata. without extra IO or other things.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I think ideally we should make it required that all the index types provide index details.
Yeah. Okay, we'll finish the discussion offline.
Yep. So is this also your issue, Shonwo, the distributed FTS?
This one is asking everybody, to take a look and take a review. And if we don't have much time, we can move to offline.
I mean, we do have some time. We can go over a couple of things here.
Okay. The idea is simple, and we are going to have to apply the same segment idea to all our index. We have done this thing for our vector search, and our next step is to doing the same thing for our FTS. And my current idea is we don't want to change our own disk layout. We just changing how we building that. Before we will have multiple partition in the same same index, and in the future we are going to adding the segment concept in our FTS index, and that every segment will only contain one partition. So we increase the partition from the concept inside FTS into our global segment idea. Our first step is to make it work and allow user to building and to search, and then we are doing some optimize to make it faster. We might also need some format change to like adding more metadata in our index metadata. We can discuss them as the next step. So our first step will be fully compatible and no spec change, and everything will just do as before. We only need some query time changes.
Did you say the first? It's just the first step, or just in general that it's compatible?
Yeah, our first step is compatible. We are just changing. We are just changing the partition concept. We don't touch the on disk format, and all our old index will still be available to read. We just change the multiple partitions in one segment into one partition, one segment. That's all.
Yeah. I think there is one compatibility issue, which is that if you try to use an old reader on a multi-segment FTS index, then it'll probably only read the first segment, right?
Yeah.
Or
yes.
might error, I'm not sure.
Yes.
So there is a compatibility issue there.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, all the code won't be able to read those segments. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it'd be worth thinking about if there's a way to improve that compatibility story. It is unfortunate because it's not, on some level it's that the index doesn't fulfill like the API contract that the table format expects, which is that you should just be able to create arbitrary segments and query them all, and it's not really like you can't just like bump the index version, or maybe you could. I'm not sure. Really about the index itself.
We already have a FTS v2 or v3.
What's the compatibility concern?
The compatibility concern is that the current library in past versions expect there to only be one index segment in FTS. And so I think, I'm not sure if it will error or if it will just ignore everything but the first segment when you try to query it.
Maybe we could at least fix maybe not necessarily. Yeah, I guess it is a V2, but maybe if it's like, if we do it in a way that, well, we just do it like the way the other FTS change was done, which is make it opt-in for a while, so that, you know, after a month or so, we can just assume that the readers are new enough and switch things over.
Yeah.
I think Yang has did a breaking change to FTS before. So instead we have a FTS v2 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we just made one. It'll be in 4.0.
Oh, okay. I see.
But it's opt-in 4.0. So like in 4.0, if you set the right environment variable, it'll create the v2 index. Then maybe in 5.0, we make it the default. And as long as you're going from 4.0 to 5.0, there's no problems. But if you go from 3.0 to 5.0, then your old 3.0 readers will not be able to read the index anymore. But they'll see the version bump and they'll fall back to flat search. So it's not the worst case. But I think that seems like a reasonable cadence, because I don't want to get stuck in the being afraid to upgrade. Like, we are a little afraid to upgrade data versions because that could lead to corrupt data and you can't really recover it. I don't know if we want to be afraid to upgrade index versions. Hey, one major release it and the next major release will make it the default. It's aggressive, but not. It's really, we're just asking people at that point, if you want to avoid these kinds of things, make sure you always go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and you're keeping up with our major releases.
Yeah.
So are there any action items for this, or I think the discussion's anyway ongoing?
Yeah, I think we'll discuss more in detail offline. It looks like there's several open questions on the design.
Compatibility, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so I think the only other thing is, well, no, even the voting has completed. So yeah, today I think it's more just an update rather than any actions from the community. But if there's anything else that we missed here.
They validated the RC. I think we'll probably, sounds like we'll be releasing that in the next day or two.
Cool. Go ahead, Kevin.
Hey, yeah. I had one last thing. I think I put it there. I don't know where it went. About GitHub workflows.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. I moved it up here.
Oh, I see. Actually, it's I just wanted to call out something about GitHub workflow hygiene. It's not related to the tag issue. I've been in a deep rabbit hole in the last couple of days about what is safe and what isn't safe for GitHub workflows. If you've been on Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever, you probably see all the takeovers on GitHub accounts and GitHub orgs. So TLDR is there's a certain set of best practices for a GitHub workflow. I think Apache ASF enforces some of them. But I think generally it's a good idea to add both CodeQL, which is GitHub's own scanner for what is to scan your GitHub workflow definitions so that you won't get taken over because of some misconfigured issues, right? They'll tell you everything you need to know about what is currently wrong, and it will actually enforce on new PRs to say this isn't safe. So it's one of the things that every repo should add. The other thing I found is Zezmor, Zizmor. I think that's it's just a security scanner for GitHub that shows you exactly, it's a linter that shows you exactly what you shouldn't do. And it has all the best practices, and adding those two should, and scanning with those two and figuring out if there are current issues will prevent your repo from bad stuff happening. So
What is the first one? What's the first one called?
code QL, QL, and that's a GitHub. That's a GitHub workflow.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just include. I've been adding them to some of the Iceberg repos, so I'll just include the definition, and you can just copy and paste. I think those are good things to add. So like it will enforce things like hash pinning, right? Or like it'll tell you like, hey, this isn't safe. Don't do this. So it's just generally a good idea to add those to like all the repos.
Cool. Yeah, great suggestions.
Yeah, I just added it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise the blast radius is quite high.
The perils of open source.
Yeah, right. It's like you don't, and you know, there are now like automated bots scanning open source repos for these kind of vulnerabilities. So you know, hiding behind obscurity doesn't help here.
Yeah, so I think we've finished all the item agendas. The rest of the stuff, I think we can always continue async offline. So yeah, we can hand over people a few minutes back.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.